Developments in a brutal murder case out of Florida that's been unsolved for more than 50 years. And now a twist and potential break in the case. DNA from two notorious killers could crack the case wide open. It all started back in 1959. To give you a little background in this, it's quite a horrific crime that really rocked the entire country. Herbert Clutter and his wife and two of their teenage children were killed inside their home in Kansas. Police arrested two ex-convicts on parole and charged them with that brutal crime months later after this happened. Now, Richard Hickok and Perry Smith, who you're seeing on your screen, were convicted and executed. Well, the notorious killers were made famous in Truman Capote's true crime novel In Cold Blood, and that novel comes into play here. Just a month after the Clutter killings, the Walker family was murdered, also inside their home, this time near Sarasota, Florida. Investigators say the Walker murders share striking similarities to the Clutter case, and the two men who were convicted and executed were on the run there in Sarasota at the time the Walker family was killed. So now investigators say this. In Florida, they want a Kansas judge to give the okay to exhume the bodies of the killers to see if their DNA ties them to the DNA found at the Walker's murders that are yet unsolved. Dr. Michael Bodden is a forensic pathologist, Fox News contributor, perfect person to talk to about this. What do you think about this trail that we laid out?
I think it's very interesting because in 1959, when the Clutter case came, and then 1960, where the current case that they're interested in, there was semen on the panties of the murdered wife in Sarasota.
That's the Walker family. No one knows what happened to them and who killed them.
That's still unsolved murder. But in 1960, the DNA didn't exist for examination. That only came into being about 1989. So they've held on to this evidence for the unsolved crime for 53 years.
And Doc, is it in a box somewhere in the back like we see in the movies in some police department?
It's in some police department where it's been saved as evidence because it's an unsolved case. Usually that's enough. DNA is very hardy. Semen is very hardy. So even if it just kept at room temperature, it should be all right.
So it doesn't have a shelf life?
It doesn't. Right. It'll outlive us. And in fact, when they exhume, if they're going to exhume the bodies of Smith and Hickok, there's a concern that they'll be skeletonized and whatever after 53 years. Our bones and our teeth hold on to our DNA for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. They've been able to get DNA from mastodons, you know, some prehistoric animals, so that as long as his bones or teeth around, they'll be able to get the DNA of those two.
But you say they could also turn to family members. They don't have to exhume the bodies necessarily.
Yeah, if there are family members of Hickok and Smith around, siblings, they'd be in the 70s maybe or so, or grandchildren or nephews, they may still be able to get DNA from those without doing an exhumation.
The families decided not to claim the bodies of these two men on the screen there after they were executed.
Yeah, so, they don't want to get involved at all.
You know, you look at these cold cases, you see these murderers, these convicted murderers have been executed. You understand that there's been many people falsely accused. You understand that there is a family that still doesn't know what happened to some of their relatives. But in your professional opinion, why reopen this case? Why go back and try to figure this out now?
Well, if they can resolve the case and solve the case now, the decedents, the Walker family, they have relatives and family and friends who want this resolved. It doesn't bring them back, but catching the people or identifying who done it does bring a lot of relief to families.
I want to get your opinion on something else. We mentioned the Truman Capote novel.
Right.
The graves of the two convicted murderers are often visited by fans of this novel. I shouldn't say fans, but people that are fascinated with the celebrity status of these criminals. And as we go back to this case, how concerned are you about copycats or just that part of bringing up this crime again?
That's a problem because some people kill because they want to be famous. They want to get the publicity that other notorious people have. So we do have some fringe people in society who could be influenced by the fact that other people who killed get famous, even though they just stay in jail. So that's always a risk and always a problem by popularizing these murders.
But you feel the search for answers.
Yeah, I think the
search
for answers is more important. I think the concept that police departments have and are brought up that old cases can still be solved with evidence from 50 years ago if they save the evidence and if they bring it forth.
And reassuring to the public, too. If you're a bad guy, just because you get executed doesn't mean you're not going to be caught someday. And that's actually a very good message for all of us.
Yes.
Dr. Bodden, right? Nice to have you on set. It's always a pleasure,
Jenna.
sir.
Good to
Thank
see
you.